right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's been a couple of days here now of just weird information that has been pretty quickly debunked, or at least looked into further, and seemingly not found to be completely true. We have another story here for Xbox and the Halo series that we will talk about, plus many other things. But before we do continue and jump into all the news, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, please hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up and check out my Spotify. Link is in the description. So the Halo franchise, it is the staple franchise at Xbox. I'm a massive Halo fan. Halo Infinite to a lot of people was disappointing, and I would say mainly because of the content side of things on the multiplayer aspect of it, where they just weren't able to deliver in a fast enough time to keep people engaged in the game itself. It did launch well. It got good reviews and everything. I think the gameplay in Halo Infinite is the best that the series has seen. I enjoyed the campaign, and if you jump into Halo Infinite right now, it is at a great spot, but it was too little too late, which is generally the case when it comes to live service games. They released it as free to play. They didn't deliver on the content at the beginning, and it's very hard to keep people's attention when that happens. And since that debacle with the online multiplayer at the beginning of the lifespan of Halo Infinite, there's been a lot of discussion as to where this studio goes. Of course, there's been departures. There's been a new studio head in Pierre Heinz, and there's been all of the rumors that they are moving over to a brand new engine, Unreal Engine 5, for the next Halo, because the Slipspace engine may have been one of the major problems with Halo Infinite. And now we have this big thing that is going around that seems to be untrue. This is an article that has been put out by WCCF Tech saying the Halo series developer 343 Industries will only supervise development of future entries in this series. And it says here from Bathrobe Spartan, who they say is a proven reliable source here regarding the popular series in the past, recently revealed some new information on the franchise's future and its developer. According to the report, based on information received from current and former 343 industry employees. I always am skeptical when you're hearing stuff from former employees. Not that they're lying, but there's maybe some other motives that come into play when it's a former employee. Maybe they got laid off. Maybe it's just something that they want to put in news out there to bring negative attention to the company. Maybe they don't like him. Or there's all these things you have to think about. Never really ever revealed in these sources. I'm not saying that's the case here. It's just always something to keep in mind whenever you hear information from former employees. It says the studio was downsized in 2023 and 2024, going from around 500 employees to less than 280, and internal communications and marketing teams were also cut, with Microsoft now managing them. And it says, as Microsoft is no longer confident in 343 Industries' internal development, future entries into the series will be developed by other studios, with the series developer focusing only on the concept and pre-production phases and supervising development. So that is the rumor that is happening right now. And I think there are definitely Halo fans that would be hearing this and rejoicing. A lot of people don't like 343 in the direction that they've taken this series. And I think they've done some good things. I think they've done some bad things. And I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was given to a studio that would bring it in the best possible direction, and 343 is there making sure that it is, going well forward, because they can't just hand it off and not be supervising when they are a major first party studio of Xbox. But at the same time, it just seems like a pretty crazy thing, a crazy change to happen out of nowhere that Xbox and 343 would be deciding to do. And it does seem like it isn't sure, as you do have Jez Corden here saying that he's checked into the latest Xbox rumor going around that 343 Industries isn't going to develop Halo games and instead only oversee them. He says this is false AF, in case you believed it. It continues on here and says studio has hundreds of employees and loads of open positions. Pretty big team if all you're doing is overseeing. And then it gets asked here, when will the next Halo launch? It's 3 years already. These games take too long. And Jess says, who knows? And that's the thing. We have no idea when this next Halo is going to be coming, when we will see it, what they have in mind. It to me sounds like it is very far off and probably not the earliest, some point in the next generation. And are they going to be completely transferring over to that Unreal Engine 5? It could be a good move if it is easier to develop the games in. And then what does that mean for Halo Infinite? Because they did tout Halo Infinite at the start of the release of this game, at the start of the Series X and S, basically, that this was going to be almost like a 10-year project. It was going to be the Halo platform going forward. And that has not been the case. And I don't see them continuing with the Halo Infinite platform, mainly because, again, from what we're hearing about Slipspace and how it's harder to develop in, and that's probably been a major reason they've held back. They probably want to bring it over to an engine that is easier. They can pump out more content and just do more things with it. So that's what I'm guessing is happening here. But whatever happens with the next Halo, I think it is extremely important for them to have a great single player campaign. I mean, that's an obvious one, but just if they are doing multiplayer, if they are going to go and continue with live service, they have to make sure that they have contents for a year plus out, so that they can continue to keep people playing, and then also at the same time making sure that as people are playing throughout the year or so, they can develop content once they've reached the initial content that they have created. That is obviously going to be the key. My hopes, honestly, is that they just go back to the regular Halo format and just release the game. Don't make it free to play. Give a full package right at launch, sell it, put it on Game Pass or whatever, but a full package where you have the whole single player experience and the multiplayer in one, and everything is there from the beginning. And then of course you can bring in updates later, but that it does not lack when it does launch. That is going to be the key here for Halo and in the next release. Now, when it comes to the other multiplayer shooter that is massive here at Xbox, that is Call of Duty. And I think one of the best things that's happened with this acquisition is now there's parity across the board for Call of Duty. One of the most annoying things with the Call of Duties over the last number of years was that exclusivity, the beta exclusive, the early beta exclusive for the first weekend. And then there's also exclusive content on certain platforms. That has all gone away thanks to Xbox purchasing ABK, and the open beta itself is going to be available across all platforms at the same time, which I think is a good thing. Now, they've announced the official dates here, and this is a tweet here from Xbox saying, Squad Assemble, play the open beta early with pre-order or Game Pass on August 30th, and it's not locked to a specific platform. You can pre-order it on any platform and be able to play it. Early access from August 30th to September 4th, and then the open beta will be available to all players from September 6th until September 9th. And I think that's pretty cool. It's exciting. It's coming up upon us. We are very close now. We're getting closer to the launch of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and the first one launching into Xbox Game Pass, which of course is a massive thing. Now, another game I'm very much looking forward to this year, one of my most anticipated games, it's coming out in September, is Space Marine 2, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, and it looks like you may actually be able to play it a little sooner than people had expected, as a pre-release build of the game has completely leaked online. This is according to Reddit users. They say the developer build was uploaded to a torn site in late June and appears to be fully playable from start to finish. It can even be done so with friends, and videos of the opening missions are being uploaded to YouTube. I'm guessing those are going to get taken down at some point, and of course there's going to be tons of spoilers. I'm not going to show any of it, and also it's a pre-release build, so it's not going to be representative of the final product. But if you want to go that route to play the game, you are actually going to be able to go and jump in and play it now, I guess. Download it or whatever and do that. I don't suggest anybody does that, and I would just wait for the actual release of the game. But that is kind of what is happening here. That is the report going around with this leak of Space Marine 2. Now, I'm also a huge fan of Zelda, and we did get that announcement of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom at the Nintendo Direct. It was a good Nintendo Direct, especially for the end of a life cycle of a console. And this game to me looked really good. I love what they did with Link's Awakening in the remake, and I love this kind of style of Zelda, the overhead 2D style or 2.5D, whatever you want to call it. Really enjoy those games. And the big thing out of all of this was that you were actually playing as Zelda throughout the game. At least that's what the trailer made it look like. And you had the different abilities to duplicate things with blocks and just different items to traverse the world. There was also combat, but the combat was you actually using your duplication to get other people to fight for you. You weren't being Link and using your sword and shield and stuff, but it looks like you may actually be able to play as Link in this game. And this has been revealed via the ESRB rating. So this is what they say. This is an adventure game in which players assume the role of Zelda as she attempts to dispel rifts throughout Hyrule and rescue Link. And from a 3/4 overhead perspective, I guess that's how they describe it, players explore various environments while fighting stylized enemies. As Link players use a sword and arrows to defeat enemies, Zelda can use magic wand to summon creatures, and some enemies can be defeated by being set on fire, or other creatures dissolve into the mist when defeated. Battle sequences are somewhat frenetic, with several enemies attacking and fighting at once. So it looks like you're going to be able to play as Link at some point in this game. If fans here speculating that the title could feature dual protagonist or a new game plus mode starring Link, with his role as a playable character being obviously much more limited, because the main part of this game, I believe, is going to be with Zelda. Either way, I mean, the game looks phenomenal to me. Both characters, I don't really care. They look great. So I'm excited to jump into Echoes of Wisdom when it does come out. Now there's another big game coming out here that I think a lot of people are going to be excited for, because we haven't had really a nice new big AAA 007 game in a while, and now we have some more information on this. The lead is saying that the new James Bond game development feels organic. Kind of take that for what jewel, whatever that means. But this is an interview with Games Radar and IO Interactive Chief Development Officer Veronique Lallier, saying that working on the new James Bond game feels organic from a development standpoint because of the past work on the Hitman franchise. Now that would make a little bit more sense, because you can kind of see those two games, the gameplay and the style, intertwining in some ways. And I think IO is going to do a very good job with this game. She says here, it's going to be very cool, very awesome project. I'm super excited about it. And I mean, if you look at what we've done in the past with Hitman, 007 just feels organic for us, because we've done, stories about agents doing things, and continue to say here, it's so close to our DNA story that it just feels seamless integration, and everybody's so excited. And then doesn't really get into more details of what to expect from this game, but we've only had that small little trailer, the teaser trailer. That's pretty much all we've seen for this, and this was back in 2021. We are now 2024, and it kind of just continues to show how long these games take to develop and how early they actually show them off. I wonder when we are actually going to get this game, when the release date is, when we will see gameplay of it, because we've seen absolutely nothing. And the only information that I can recall right now is this, which is just from yesterday, that it feels organic and it's going to be similar sounding to Hitman in the gameplay that they have there. So, I mean, they're probably more action oriented as well. I'd hope that would be a major part that they do add into a 007 game, but we'll see what happens here. I'm guessing this is at least another year or so out. Even though they announced it back in 2021, these development life cycles are just crazy how long that they do take. Okay, let's talk about Game, the store in the UK, their GameStop, I guess you could call it. There was a report last week that they were stopping taking in-store pre-orders for video games. You could actually go in and still buy them once they've released, but they were going to stop taking pre-orders in game, and they would do only at-home delivery for gaming pre-orders. And now it looks like they are stopping another thing that they don't want to sell inside the store anymore. They say Game is reportedly ending in-store sales for physical currency cards, and those currency cards are those things I guess you buy for points on PSN and Xbox and other subscription services or other platforms out there. They say this includes point of sale activated cards that offer currency or in-game credit, so customers will no longer find currency cards in store for Nintendo eShop, Roblox, or iTunes credit. However, Game should still support some digitally fulfilled codes generated and printed on a receipt. So if you're looking to buy those cards, you're not going to be able to anymore. It kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't know how many people go into a store to buy those cards to use themselves. Maybe if you're younger, but I would say, at least for me and probably other people out there, the main reason I would go and buy those prepaid cards are for gifts and things like that. So I wonder how hard those are going to be in the future. And I guess you can still buy those digitally and just send them to somebody's email anyway. So they do kind of seem to become more and more uses as we do move forward. All right, let's talk about The Witcher 4. We know CD Projekt Red is working on a multitude of titles, lots of Witcher projects, a Witcher remake, a Witcher 4, which is going to be a brand new entry into the trilogy, and it's not going to be featuring Geralt of Rivia as the main protagonist. You're going to be playing as somebody else. We don't really know who yet, but they are working on The Witcher 4. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, Witcher 3 was very good. And it says here that out of all their projects, it is in the most advanced, or it's the most advanced project right now. This is an interview with the Flow podcast, and the CD Projekt Red Associate Game Director, Pavel Sasko, spoke about the upcoming projects. and says to fans that, yeah, of course, I mean, everything is being developed, but it's in the early stages, so we shouldn't expect to hear anything about that anytime soon. But one of the most advanced out of all of them is The Witcher 4. This game's going to be on Unreal Engine 5. It's going to look phenomenal. It's going to play hopefully better than The Witcher 3. Witcher 3 wasn't bad by any means, but I mean, that's definitely a place where they can improve it, add more things, and just make the gameplay even that much better. And then obviously the story and the character is going to be a main thing here that people are looking forward to see the direction that it does come in. But it is the most advanced. And as I said, they're working on a bunch of different titles, different Witcher projects, as well as other projects out there. And again, another game. We don't know how long it's going to take to develop and when we're going to see it. I would be surprised if we even see it this generation. We'll probably get it with the next generation of consoles. And finally, global gaming. I know people like to look at the gaming industry this year, and including myself, you see all the layoffs and closures, and you're seeing a shrinkage in the industry. I don't think the industry is collapsing. I don't think we are going into a depression of gaming or anything like that. I think the industry kind of just overinflated itself over the pandemic, and it's coming back to normal. And there's some more news here to suggest that it is still very healthy. It says global gaming revenue to reach $300 billion in the next 3 years. It's a financial forecast published by Bain & Company, suggesting that global gaming revenue will secure a CAGR of 9% between now and 2017. And CAGR is the compound annual growth rate. So that's a pretty big jump here. It's going to take the revenue cap from $199 billion in 2022 to a whopping $307 billion in 2027, or by 2027. And this, I think, is a key stat or a key thing here. The report highlights that young gamers aged 13 to 17, very impressionable market, now spend 40% more time playing games and engaging with other media such as television shows. And I say it's a very important stat here because people like myself who've been playing games since the 90s, or been playing games since like the NES and Super Nintendo and stuff, we still think that the gaming industry is being made for us, and you always get confused why certain decisions are made. But the reality is, we've heard this before. We've heard this from Phil Spencer specifically, that it's about the younger gamers right now and how those gamers interact with the medium. And it's completely different than how I interact and how older people interact with the medium. They're playing less games, but spending more time in smaller amount of games, spending more money in those games, playing free-to-play games and all of this type of stuff. And that is why the industry is changing. The previous market of like console exclusives and trying to sell as many consoles as possible isn't going to be the way that these companies make money, because at the end of the day, even if you sell tons of consoles and these gamers, 13 to 17 year olds, are only playing Fortnite, you're not really getting very much money out of each one of those customers. So we're seeing the industry change. We're seeing with the subscription and the cloud gaming, and the reasoning why is because of the amount of the younger generation and how they are spending so much more time in video games than doing other things like television shows and movies. So they have to find the best way to make money off those consumers, especially as they grow and get older and have that disposable income. So we'll see how that does change and when other major changes start taking place over the next number of years in the gaming industry. But I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.